Alright, so the most pressing thing that I have to get fixed on this car before I take it in and get it emissions tested, or smog tested if you will, is I've got to fix this leak. And that involves putting this new heater core in. This thing was $12. Actually it was $11.92 off Rock Auto. You want to be careful not to mess up the fins at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this in the box for now. I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like. The inlet and outlet hose into the heater core are in here. So I'm going to have to move the fuel filter out of the way. I'm going to have to move the air hat out of the way in order to get to it. Alright, so I got the air hat out of the way. This actually just kind of flexes around, so it's not that big of a deal. And I took this right hose off, which goes to the top of the motor. I'm going to go ahead and take that bolt out and loosen it up and hopefully get that hose off all the way. And so I just got those two lines off. You guys can kind of see them right there. And one to the left was pretty well on there. So here we are in the car. I went ahead and dropped the glove box here. And we now have access to our heater core, which is right behind this panel. So what you got to do is go ahead and switch it all the way to warm to get that little arm out of the way, because we're going to need that out of the way. And we have, looks like 1, 2, 3 bolts that are going to hopefully remove this. So let's go ahead and undo them. Actually, we got one more. Now with all 4 removed, pull your door off. I'm just going to set it down here, throw my bolts into it. And then we can see we have access to the heater core. And it should just come out. There you have it. I'm going to go ahead, oh wow, yeah, it looks like it's leaking. I was going to say I was going to go ahead and pressure test it, which I might still just do that. But yeah, looks like it's definitely been leaking a little bit. But here's the new heater core. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to pressure check these to make sure that this one's not going to leak, because we definitely don't want the same problem again. So when you go and pressure check one of these, it's honestly pretty easy. All you do is stick a garden hose onto it. And the easiest way to do that, so it gets kind of a somewhat proper seal, is to just put a hose on the other side, just low pressure. Go ahead and open it up. And it's holding pressure. Now I did already pressure check this thing yesterday, so I know some of you might ask, well, how can you see any water coming out there if you just got it all wet? I did it yesterday, and it pressure checked fine. I have no reason to believe that it's not holding pressure. As you guys can see, the old one has this foam wraparound that goes around it, as well as a seal that essentially goes where those 2 big holes are and the firewall for your lines. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is do my best to pull this thing off and wrap it around the new one. I have no idea how well that's going to work out, but hopefully it works out good enough. O'Reilly's ordered me the wrong hose. It's supposed to look like this one. So I went to the next best thing, because they were not able to get me one until Tuesday. So I got a 5/8 and 3/4 connector here, and I'm just going to make my own. So it's not really too big of a deal, because we already have these 2 parts here that are raised. So what I'm going to try and do is, because this thing flops around without this foam on, I already tried it, is just go ahead and have it wrapped around like so, and just stick it in. So as you guys can see, I did have to modify it a little bit here. I just pulled that piece of foam off. It was sticking out, but it doesn't flop around anymore like it did without this in it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just throw the backing cover on, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Now I'm going to show you guys a trick. If you're going to put a hose on to a new new connector here, whether it be on a heater core or anything else, what you can do, go ahead and put some Vaseline on it, because sometimes new hoses are pretty hard to get on. You don't want to do too much, and off camera I'll wipe a little bit of that off, but that's the easiest way that I've found to facilitate stuff like this. So that's now in place. I'm going to go ahead and just leave everything kind of, loose up here, just because I might want to check this thing for leaks. We'll see how that goes. Now this is the fun part of rerouting the hoses. So I've got my connector hose ready. This part's going to go into the heater core. And what I did was I put a little bit of Vaseline around the rim of it here, just so I can get this hose clamp on it correctly and over the edge there. You guys, there you go. So hopefully that'll work. Now what I'm going to go ahead and try is I left his original hose on there. It's a 3/4, I do believe. However, the 5/8 is what goes into the heater core itself. So what I did was I just patched into his heater core hose that he has going from the bottom of the engine to the top. And I don't think it'll make too much of a difference in the coolant pressure, because it's, maybe at best just a foot extra worth of hose. So I don't know. I'll keep an eye on this thing once I get it all wrapped up and back together and start actually driving this car around and see how well it lasts. I might just go ahead and order the correct size hose off of Rock Auto and be done with it. But anyways, so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and connect it back to the heater core. And I did use this old clamp, as you guys saw earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread it back on, or push it back on, and then we'll go ahead and flush and drain the system, and then we'll service it up with brand new coolant. Now everything's back in place. What I actually did was I had an elbow, small type heater core hose, and was able to just pinch it in there at the bottom. I don't really like using this method. I like to use as few of these hose clamps as possible, because they're really not the best thing you can use to clamp hoses, believe it or not. After a while they tend to eat into the hoses and you always have to retighten them. But anywho, so the heater core is in, everything is hooked up. So now I'm just going to go ahead and flush the cooling system. Now I'm just going to go ahead and flush the cooling system, and after that I'll refill it and burp it, and we'll see where we're at. Well, I didn't end up having to burp the system, and I just looked it over. Not leaking anywhere, at least not yet, if it will. So looks like we'll be pretty good for now. Let's go ahead and give it a test drive. So it seems to be driving okay. It's not getting any hotter. It's not fluctuating. Usually when your temperature gauge fluctuates at all, that means you have air in the system and you need to burp your system again. I actually didn't have to burp the system all that much. I left it on for a little bit with the cap off, and well, it didn't seem to do much, so just kind of left it where it was. Let's see how much we're doing at 65. Doing 3,000 RPM at 65 miles an hour. Gotta love a 3-speed automatic. To shift okay. I mean, it shifts a little hard from second to third, but that's okay. It shifts fine. It's not slipping or anything. So this will definitely be a good little winter beater, that's for sure. And so I just got the car back, took it for about a 10-mile drive. I'm just looking it over again for any source of leaks. Looks okay. Don't see anything dripping. I look down there, you guys can't really see it from this angle, but it doesn't appear to be dripping, at least not yet. Doesn't appear to be anything seeping onto here. Everything seems to be right where it should be. So let's go ahead and button this back up. And there you have it. As you guys can see, this is a fairly simple job. Not really too involved. Sometimes heater cores and other vehicles, I think it's a little bit harder in my Ranger. Sometimes you got to go through and remove your whole dashboard in order to get to the damn thing. But I won't show it on camera. What I am going to do is, around those hoses, I'm going to try and squirt some silicone sealant in there, just to kind of seal it from the elements, seal the inside of the car from the elements a little bit better. So I won't get that on camera, but that's what I'll do. But anyways guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rate, comment, subscribe, and you all stay classy.